going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside Look. Last episode, we broke into this safe pretty much just the way a professional safe cracker would do it. And I figured today would be a good opportunity to show you the internals of the locking mechanism. Let's get into it. So after that episode, I went ahead and took everything apart and I set it all inside so that I wouldn't lose anything. There's still a bunch of that dust in there, so I gotta be careful. Every time I close this door, a big puff of that, like that, asbestos comes flying out. So I'm trying to keep that to a minimum. So until I get all this asbestos dust off here, I don't want to handle it with bare hands. And it's kind of difficult to manipulate these small components with any other gloves on. So anyway, now this mechanism, I'll actually try to reassemble it a little bit and then we'll take it apart little by little. All right, so I'm having a real bugger of a time getting this little spring doodad back in that back corner there, but that's the friction portion of this as far as I know. So we'll just go ahead and set that in there without the spring for now. Okay, so that's how the lock would look with, you know, the door being right here, all right? It's just two big screws to pop this back cap off. Then the wheel assembly comes out and then four more screws hold the this box in the door. And this part was pretty cool. It's got this little bitty key in here that just slides out. There's actually nothing holding it in there other than the back cover keeping it from pulling out. This little key comes out and that holds the spline of this front wheel and the knob. So now the knob can spin freely in there and it just unscrews. You gotta hold the wheel a little bit. So that's our knob there. Now this inner wheel will come out and we'll go ahead and get this little friction plate out of here too. Now this inner wheel will come out. Now this wheel is the wheel that I screwed up. When I drilled through that front cover, let's get this out of the way too. So you can see where I drilled through the front plate here, went through the door, drilled into it here, and I had three different holes, and that's where those holes came out at. 1, 2, and 3. The first one, I was able to not hit the mechanism. The second one, I didn't hit the mechanism right here, but this third one, I believe is the one that actually damaged this wheel here. You can see where I hit it pretty good. Well, that's the fence. That's one of the four fences. This is a 4 combination lock. So that's a fence, but I went through the fence there and I hit the gear. And I hit it twice over here because I was drilling, you know, while I was testing it. So I ended up screwing up this wheel pretty bad. Fortunately, the other wheel, the operating wheel in here, didn't have any damage to it. This mechanism here is what opens and closes the bolt. And it's not spring-loaded at all. The only spring in here is this piece with one little spring, which sits in this back corner and rides along the wheel pack. In order to get this to work, I'll slap it back together just a little bit so you can see the operating side of it. So now when you dial in the proper combination, it lines up the fence with the gate. And that gate, it's operated by gravity. Now this is where those teeth are gummed up, and this is why I had such a hard time. But that gate is supposed to drop in the fence, and then as you turn it, it pulls it back. Okay, now this mechanism, this is our wheel pack. So each one of these wheels on the back side has a peg that catches. So like this one here, see this peg right here? That peg catches on this front wheel along its peg. They mesh up and match up. So this has to go all the way around to catch that peg. And then on the back, the next wheel has a peg as well and a groove. So the peg on the one behind it would slide in this groove all the way around until it hits that peg, and then it spins the next wheel. And you can see spinning the next wheel, and then you keep spinning and it'll finally grab the last wheel. These can be changed, the combos can be changed by pulling out, it looks like this inner ring right here, see how it's splined? Gear tooth splined into the ring. Pull out this centerpiece, which it probably just pops out. There's probably a pry area. Well, screw it, let's just go ahead and pop this off of here. So there's a retaining ring right here, so let's get that off of there. There we go. Okay, so the retaining ring's out of the way. Now this gear should just slide right off. And there's our second one with the same thing. See, that peg grabs into, slides in the next groove, this groove here, until it reaches that tang, and that tang pushes the next one. So pretty simple overall. So when you have the proper combination, all of your gates or fences, no, gates, sorry, I called that backwards, didn't I? Yeah, these are all the gates, and that's your fence. So all of your gates lined up, then your paw or fence can drop into the gates. And that's it. So pretty simple, but tough. You know, it's tough to crack these ones, these old friction ones. There's not a lot of videos on this, and it's a to do it like methodically with the finding your gates initially, it's a very slow, cumbersome process that if you don't know the feel for it, or if your lock is gooned up like this one, see all this crud in here? There was no way I was gonna be able to feel those gates in there and figure it out. I couldn't even figure out the first contact point. Contact point is when you're just cruising around like this, and this fence here nicks, which now it's really screwed up. When the fence here nicks the edge of the gate, that's called your contact point. And you should be able to feel that. Now, on these old friction style, you technically or typically only feel one side of the gate, just the first gate. And when you're trying to manipulate, you end up having very, very small differences in the diameter of these wheels. So if that gate or fence is riding along the top of this, okay, and you're trying to feel basically the fence, imagine this pick as the fence, when it rides across that, but it would be level with it, right? So if you're spinning this pack and one wheel is higher than the other one, when it comes around to, say, that gate, if another wheel is pushing the fence higher than that gate, it's almost impossible to feel that gate. I mean, it is impossible. So you have to figure out which gate that you're feeling. So you do this back and forth and back and forth. There's a long drawn out process. You can find other videos of it. I certainly do not have the skill set at this point to demonstrate something like that, especially on this bugger. Now that you know how it works, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I'm gonna actually attempt to repair this one. And I think the lock, once it's all cleaned up, will function properly. Now, yes, I put a couple holes, a big hole right in the bezel, which I think I can braze that and fix that. Now this gear on this wheel, the front wheel, I think it's the first wheel, this is gonna be the bugger. And what I'm thinking, it appears to be a separate piece. However, because you can see where it's separate from the rest of the, let me find a good spot, like right in here. You can just barely see a gap in there. So I don't know if I'd be able to peel this gear off of the rest of the wheel, because it does not appear that it was made in one piece. However, I'm thinking what I'll do is fill in my drill marks with brazing rod, either TIG or torch, whatever, something to just fill in where those teeth should be, and then grind them back to the shape of the old teeth. Or I'll see if I can't find a parts lock online, because this piece itself is the only piece that's actually screwed up. For the rest of it, I can just fill in these holes with, say, I wonder if I put that other hole in there. I only drilled 3 holes, and there's a 4th hole in there. I didn't notice that one before. Huh. That's definitely and that looks a lot older than my drill mark. These 3 right here look pretty fresh, and those are the 3 that I was sticking my camera through. But there's this 4th hole right here, and it kind of looks rusty and cruddy in there, which means it's been there for a hot minute. Wouldn't surprise me if somebody drilled this out, you know, decades ago to try to get into this thing. And maybe that is partly why it was a bit goofy to begin with. I don't see any other drill marks in this bezel. The bezel could have been replaced. It doesn't look like it's been repaired. It'd be right there. Maybe that was me. That would be that mark right there to correspond with coming through right here. Or that one maybe. Anyway, so yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to repair this or find a replacement front wheel and get it put back together. I'll clean up all the parts, get all the crud off of it. I'll fill the hole in the door with some silicone or something. And yeah, that'd be really cool. Really, really cool. If you got any questions on this or comments, I'm certainly no expert on this. I just really like this kind of stuff. But yeah, if you do know about this stuff, I'd really love to get your opinion on repairing this. I have found replacement friction locks, like the OCY5, I think is what it's called. And but man, a good one's like $300. I mean, shit, I only paid $100 for the whole safe, so I guess that's the price you pay. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you all swinging by. If you got any other comments, please feel free to put something down there. If you like this kind of stuff, maybe hit some buttons down below. And I do these inside look videos every other week, and in the in-between weeks, I do Thingamajigger Thursday. So please check that out. We'll catch you on the next one.